Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules the Man Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today is the final time we're going to be talking about, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? We are done. We finished the first season. We're going to talk about the last 4 episodes, and then we're going to pick a brand new anime. We have so many anime to choose from. It's completely random, and if you'd like to add an anime to the chest, to the list of anime here, you can go ahead and give it a $5 super chat on YouTube. $5 super chat will get you an anime pick, or 500 bits on Twitch. Wherever you're watching, you can go ahead and give us some money. We can put anime in the chest, and it could be picked out if you do it before the end of the episode. Could be picked out by the end for today. You know what I mean? That's just that easy. You can cut the line pretty much. But we're gonna be talking about the end of season 1 for Danmachi. A lot of stuff to get into. Then we're going to rank the anime on our list and give it a final ranking for season 1. But I do not go on these anime journeys alone. I go with my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to finalize our thoughts on this first season of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I'm very curious to see what you think with how you felt with these last 4 episodes, because
Yeah.
it was something. There was stuff that was happening. And
Part of
I
part of the
definitely
fun
think
of
that, like, if this is the blueprint for what there is going forward, like, sure, it's probably going to check a lot of boxes, but I think there's a lot of missed potential, and we'll get into that when we do.
yeah, I think well, first I was going to say a lot of the fun is not talking about it during the week and then coming here and then being like, yeah, pretty much just being like, hey, I watched this, my thoughts are this and your thoughts are this. But I think as we go into the last 4 episodes of the season, I think I was more intrigued by the story that they didn't tell and the story of the world that they just kind of touched on. And is that enough for me to continue watching the show? Who's to say? We'll talk about it by the end of the show, but we got to get into it. We have 4 anime episodes to watch, talk about,
And
and
a new one to pick.
gotta rank it. So episode 10, Pass Parade / Monster Procession. What happens in episode 10?
Hestia warns Belle about being careful as he pushes into the middle levels, and Take assures Hestia all they can do is wish the best for their familia. Hermes is introduced, who seems to be showing interest in Belle, and Belle and his group begin to fall prey in the dungeon's middle levels as mishap after mishap leaves them in a state of needing rescue. Hestia being quick to put together a response team to their disappearance, and Lily remarks that it may be better for them to press on instead of turning around, as there is a safe level further on. Hestia convinces Take Familia to support her in the rescue mission, as Hermes and Hestia also decide that they will be descending with the group, and Belle's party begins to falter as a trio of minotaurs forces Belle to cause a cave-in to avoid a fight.
So I knew, like I said last week, I knew as I heard their name and they spent like 2 seconds on it, I'm like, this character's coming back, because we get the introduction like of the person that we assume was the one from Take's familia that leveled up, Mikoto. And Take's family is all there, and everybody's going to the middle floors. There's earthquakes happening in this area. They fight in the first middle floor fight. They won. They're like, yay, we did it. We also get introduced to characters like Asphy and Hermes, who's interested in Belle. Do you think this is too late in the game, with 4 episodes to go of season 1, to be interesting still some gods?
I mean, we know. I mean, most of us walking into this are going to know that it's touching on Greek pantheon gods, and there's a huge amount of gods to touch on. And the show poked at the idea that there are gods that are more widely renowned that are going to have larger familia, and then you have smaller, lesser known gods that are probably just going to have a few strong followers or supporters. And it seems like Hermes is one to fall into that. And then we get in the next episode, teased that he is indeed there for ulterior motives and stuff. So I think that he's definitely set up as like a red herring where we're supposed to think that I'm forgetting her name. What's her
Aspie?
name? The Freya. It's Freya. I'm pretty
Right.
sure Freya sent
One. Yeah.
herring as to like, oh, Freya is trying to spy on him, but then we get the, the double back on Freya where it's like, oh, I'm the only person allowed to mess with him. So we know it's playing into a larger world, and knowing that there's 5 seasons, I don't like knowing that. I don't feel like that it's too late in the game. If you were to say, hey, this is a 13 episode anime and it ends at episode 13, then I would definitely think that it's like,
Yeah.
too late to be introducing somebody who's supposed to be like, the double agent type, kind of archetype, because we see that that's kind of what he's playing at.
And it also kind of helps that Hermes is probably not one of the more well-known gods, but like you've heard the name most likely. We also find out that the Loki Familia were the one that left the magic book for Bell. Did you catch that? Where they kind of said it in passing that they
I
were
didn't.
like, something's happening, that they left the book there for Bell. They knew what was going to happen. And I was like, what's happening? Everything's kind of, I don't know.
That went right past me. I did not catch
It
that
was real
line.
quick. Well, I think it was Hermes that said it, because he's the one that like knows everything. I think, I don't know who said it. But we find out what a pass parade is, and I thought this was funny. Where, I mean, it wasn't funny at the time because the whole Take family was running by, and they're like, "We're gonna have to do it to a man. We're gonna have to just give aggro to somebody else, to this other party that is just not handling their stuff." So they pass parade, giving aggro to someone else. And they're just slicing Wolves like crazy. Wolf's leg is crushed, Lily's down, the crew falls down 2 floors. As far as like action and stuff, pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of like it.
And like I said, we in the last set of episodes, we got the whole idea where Bell starts off, he can't beat a Minotaur. Okay, now he's slaying a Minotaur. How do we raise the stakes? And then it gives us this whole idea. Oh, the dungeon's like out for you. It's gonna give you minor inconvenience after minor inconvenience until they all stack up on each other, that it's like an unbearable load. And I love that idea. That it parkens even into like a tabletop role play and stuff like that, where you need to have some sort of like chip factor where you have your group, but they need to use all of their resources in order to keep pushing forward. But what happens when those resources are stretched so thin and you don't have an end in sight? And that's an amazing like concept and storytelling for me.
But I do have a lot of questions about this dungeon still, because like the way that I'm just focused on that, because the dungeon is the most intriguing thing in this show. Bell's falling into boobs all the time. I could care less, but like they're talking more about the dungeon and explaining what all this is. Apparently, they do spawn people. The monsters do spawn after a certain time. We find that out later. But in this episode, we find out that floor 18 is a dungeon safe zone. So they say that monsters don't spawn down there. So is this the way they've set it up? Is like real life? Gods are real. It's as if gods were real and they came down here, and then for some reason there was monsters and we had to go fight them as adventurers, whatever. But they don't pose this show as a game, as a video game like Sword Art Online or something. So the monsters don't spawn down there. Why? And she used the word spawn, and I was like, what are we? I'm just like, they want to lean into the game sort of stuff, but I was like, oh, I don't know. Well, there's more stuff later on that intrigued me, but the way that she said it, monsters don't spawn down there. Floor 18 is a safe zone. I'm like, why? What's making them spawn in the first place? Is my big question. Before I forget, I didn't take a screenshot, but there were YouTube comments from someone, and I'm sorry I forgot your name. You've been watching the YouTube videos, but they did clarify about Bell leveling up. From last week, we talked about, oh, he just hit level 2, but Ice is level 6 or something. Apparently, it took Ice. Ice was the second, or Ice was the first one and the fastest one to level up to level 2, which was a year. Usually, it takes people many, many years to level up to level 2. So now, because he's famous, well, he leveled up so quickly, way quicker than the fastest person to ever do it.
And
That's
he
why he's
smashed
famous.
that record.
And he smashed it because
Not even
everyone's
like,
like,
oh, 9 months, 10
no.
months. It's a month and a half or
So
whatever it ended up being.
so thank you, YouTube commenter. Keep watching. Thank you so much. But yes, I read the comments. I forgot to take a screenshot. I was gonna post it here, but um Take tells Hestia that their crew lured the monsters to Belle. Take's familia tasked to bring Belle home, and Hermes comes to help. So we got this huge ass party of all the characters vowing, and I do like Take's familia for this. Like, even though, I mean, you can understand they had no choice,
Yeah,
really.
I
They,
like Take's Familia for going in on it, but I also really like the way Hestia approached it by saying, if he dies, I will blame you forever,
mhm,
but I promise I won't hate you. And it's like,
yeah,
that's a powerful thing to say to me. If you're pleading like for people to pick up the pieces of their own mistakes, so to speak, it's like, yeah, the blame's going to fall on you, but it's like, I feel like it's kind of like whether or not we can even get there in time, like if you help, I will at least like not hate you
yeah,
for it.
definitely. So everybody's going down. Hephaestus asks Hestia to bring a message to Welf and also this covered thing there. Welf knows magic too, and he made the wolf's fire go back into him. This was the first time that we see some Welf magic, right? He has
Yeah,
will-o-wisp.
heretic magic, will-o-wisp.
I kind of like it. I'm down for that because, like, last time I was talking about how we don't really see anybody do magic. We don't see anybody's abilities or stuff, but now we're seeing some wealth magic. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm down for him having that sort of wind sort of
I
type
wasn't
magic.
I wasn't sure if it was like wind because like the first time we see it, it shows the fire breath of the hellhound kind of getting knocked back into itself and it
Yeah.
blows itself up. But as he's using it later, it almost seems like it's like a magical force of anti-magic or something that is causing people's own spells to misfire on themselves because he
Okay.
uses it, I think, when like in episode the third episode that we'll talk about, he uses it against spellcasters, and then their spells just like blow up in their face.
Yeah.
So I think it's like some sort of anti-reverse magic, and that's
Hmm.
what goes with calling it heretic magic. I'm not casting a spell; I'm just forcing yours to be like at your own expense,
Hmm.
which is a cool idea. Like I like that. We're getting it characterized because we already have Belle who's throwing around firebolts, which is
Fireballs.
already really cool. So it's like, how do we kind of take? We want to give Welf his own magic, but we want it to have its own flavor. Heretic
Because
magic,
we do see Ryu later on using
and
like
she uses
actual
like wind
wind
magic.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it is different than his magic. It just sort of looked the same a little bit when he first started using it. Um, Man, the stinky bag ran out somehow. They were walking with the little stinky bags
I
to
when
repel monsters.
when Welf complained about it and Lily started like nagging him about it and the way her words started to speed up faster and faster and faster and faster, that killed me. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, that's how it truly feel. That's how it would truly feel if you're forced to hold a stink bag and other people are like, why does it stink? It's like, excuse me?
What are you talking about?
You want to get
Um,
up here? You want to hold this bag? I'm doing this for you.
yeah, doing it for us. I'm the person that has all the stuff. Just let me have this stinky bag. Minotaurs show up. Belle tears it down. Three more Minotaurs. Belle uses like this huge scythe thing. And then after credits, someone in green shows up to help. I don't know if we see their face, but we know who it is. Episode 11, Under Resort, the Labyrinth Paradise. What happens in episode 11?
The Hestia rescue party chases after Belle, attempting to use evidence in their surroundings to come to the conclusion that they must be pressing on. Lily and Wealth collapse, forcing Belle to carry their weight to continue, and Hestia presses Hermes on why he was so ready to help. Belle is just able to avoid the area boss and arrive safely with the Loki expedition group, and Bell affirms to his party that they did their best and it was only due to their combined efforts they were able to survive. Hestia rescue party catches up and all are reunited. Hestia going on to complete a delivery to Wealth before crashing a moment between Bell and Eyes.
Woo! The crew goes down into the dungeon. We find out Ryu is the girl in green, and Welf goes mine down. Um, Someone who we don't know at the time told Hermes to keep an eye on Bell. So he's playing into that um, double agent thing that you were talking about earlier, where we don't know. I was kind of leaning, well, later on, more so in the next episode, I think, um, leaning towards like, bro, I don't like this guy. I don't like this dude. He just kind of sucks.
He kind of sucks.
He's
And
kind of
he's weird.
shifty. Well, at least right now, I was like, he's kind of shifty. And then later, I was
Weird.
like, oh, he sucks. I was like, hey, I don't like this guy. Bell reaches the Great Wall of Lamentation, and we get our first Titan. I didn't know. I didn't know Titans were in this. When was
I don't
this
know
made?
the way the opening goes. No 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 no.
Titans attack. Ice finds Bell, the Loki Familia end up camping at floor 18, and now they're calling him Mr. Argonaut. All the girls are kind of enamored by Mr. Argonaut, and that's kind of his name, other than Little Rookie. Argonaut's a little bit better, I think. So we find out as well, how does this dungeon work? Because we get floor 18 right, all the crew, we're just there. Hestia makes it. We got Taka's crew that are apologizing. Wealth, Bell, and all them. They're in floor 18. They call it the Under Resort or the Labyrinth Paradise. Oh, yeah. By the way, this floor has a day-night cycle. Huh? Are we still in the dungeon? It's huge. There's like fucking 20 floors to the top.
Man's looking for logic where none's to be found. I think with floor 18, yeah, we have officially left the realm of believability with like the way the dungeon world works. Like completely.
I'm just so curious about this. I really hope. I don't know. I don't know if they continue or they figure it out or they explain this. If it is some big explanation about the revelation that we find out at the very end of the season, and that's something connected, cool. But like, I'm so just in this, like, what is this? And that's the story I want to hear about, because like, who made this? What do we do? There's a town here, there's a city here with just merchants that are just chilling. And oh yeah, the monsters are chill. Here on floor 18, the monsters are chill. Like we said, they don't spawn here, but there's some monsters going by. They're chill. They need some time to chill too. Huh? What are we doing? What is it?
I think everybody just rests on this floor. It's just really nice. It's just so
It is
peaceful.
really nice. It is
There's
pretty
crystal ceiling.
I was like, what are we doing? What's
And
happening?
the whole, what do you call it? Like there's definitely different types of like dungeon design in shows, in media, and you have going all the way back to Gary Gygax making modules for Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like it all makes sense. Like here's their living space, here's where they eat, here's where they keep here's their spawning pool, like for monsters and stuff. But then you have the completely, as time moves forward, it seems as though we move away from that style of dungeon design for the sake of just having cool set pieces and plot points. Because if it's realistic, does that mean it's interesting? That's something that's up to debate. But as we move forward, it feels like things are just done for the sake of spectacle. In this case, that we're on floor 18. There's a city here. It's a day-night cycle. There's a whole economy working on this floor. And it's like, that's cool in concept, but you could have we can have our cake and eat it too, in theory. It's just up to the writer, whoever's making this world, to decide what they value in terms of telling their story.
They value boobs, and it's lazy. I don't care. I dig it. I'm not saying to take away from the spectacle of floor 18, because it was a cool set piece. I'm cool. Once they went in and they explained the rules of this place, I'm like, okay, I'm down. I'm cool where they're just by themselves with other adventurers that have reached this place and these merchants that are overpriced goods and all that stuff. That's cool. That's a cool sort of set. The way that we got there, kind of questionable. I don't know. I was like, there's city too. Okay. So this episode ends with Hestia getting mad at Belle again because he has other girls, blah blah blah. We already seen that. We get in the after credits of this episode, flashbacks of him and Hephaestus, them talking, and she gave him a sword to imbue magic into. So it was kind of nice looking to Welf and his memories when they were talking to Hephaestus. Episode 12, Show Malice. What happens in episode 12?
All groups go into the town for the day to resupply and spend some time relaxing. A group that pressed Bell in the tavern topside is unhappy to see he's made it down to the same level as them. Hermes attempts to entice Bell into peeping in on the girls while they bathe, and Bell is caught before running off as quickly as possible. Ryu and Bell visit the graves of Ryu's fallen familia, and a plot begins to take place against Bell. Loki expedition group departs for the surface, but Hestia is goddess snapped shortly after, Bell forced to go after her alone. Hermes had given a magical item to the bullies, Bell still being able to get the upper hand on his invisible opponent as his companions arrive to break through the crowd, and Hestia going full god mode to end the encounter early.
A lot of...
I said stop it.
A lot of things for this being the penultimate episode to the finale of season 1. So we get what I this is where I wrote it, where the monsters visit floor 18-2 and they're just vibing. They don't attack, they just relax.
Dragons flying around.
Yeah, why not? They talk about Riviera, which is the city down there in floor 18, and then as the episode before the finale, we just I have a problem. I don't know, man. It's just so weird.
Bring it up.
Because as almost the final episode of the show, the season, yes, because there are like 5 seasons of it, and I guess that we couldn't get around it because there's going to be a lot of action later, so I guess they balanced it out a little bit. But we go to every girl character and we're like, bath time, and then next girl character, bath time, yeah, let's all take a bath because we're stinky. And what's her name, Hestia buys a perfume for Belle as well, but they're all like, let's go take a bath, and we're stinky. I'm like, what are we doing? I'm wasting my time. Like, I don't care. Like, okay, do we have to spend like
that
2 minutes?
That scene, absolutely, you remove it and the plot does not change at all.
No,
other than like the wolf guy being like, you got to peek at eyes before I did, and I've been in her group for years, how dare you peep in on eyes before I got to do it.
Yeah,
and that doesn't affect the plot technically, it just is a moment that it would affect.
I just don't care. It's just like, yes, and that wasn't even the biggest thing that came out of it. I think the biggest thing that came out of that scene was Ryu and Belle meeting up, right?
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to lead to, is for some reason Ryu is bathing, more isolated, so Belle runs away and ends up being one-on-one with Ryu as they're isolated. You're right. I'm sorry. It's for the plot.
Hello, Claire.
And the backstory.
I think it's only there for plot and backstory. Yes, definitely. The backstory. The backside. Is that what you meant to write? No. So everybody just goes around and they're like, let's go take a bath, whatever. And I thought we were going to get something from Hermes, because Hermes was like, Belle, we got to talk.
I thought something important, as like, because like, yeah, he's playing at this whole double agent thing. So it's like, I'm actually sent by blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And none of that happens. It's just, hey, man, we're going to peek on girls because that's how guys show their, I can't roll my R's, but imagine I roll my R really hard. So they're romance.
Thank
you.
Yeah, and it's just them in the tree, tee-hee-heeing over there, just guys being dudes, I guess, peeking on all the girls and stuff. Like, okay, I don't care. I don't have a problem. I'm fine with boobs or whatever in shows if I'm like, I'm gonna watch this show because I want to watch show with boobs. Okay, cool, whatever. But when they just put it in to be like, remember this? Remember we could do this? And it's like shows each girl, shows them like kind of covering something. I'm like, just show the whole thing. If you're gonna do it, just do the whole thing.
And then they're surprisingly, back to the self-insert concept. They're just like, oh, Belle, you're kind of shy. We didn't think you'd want to be here. It's just like,
Yeah.
what's going on? What is going on?
I'm just spending a lot of time on it because it spent a lot of time in the show. And I was like, this is almost the last episode.
Like,
what are we doing?
We also get some scenes of where Eyes actually seems to like kind of be getting jealous of like Belle getting attention from like the Amazon girls or whatever. Yeah, the twins. Like, because they like ask him like, oh, blah blah blah, how'd you do this one thing? And he's like, and she looked like she's like uncovered her ear. And I don't know if it was like, are you just trying to listen in, or are you just getting a little green?
In this episode as well, there was a moment where Hestia's putting on her perfume, and then she was like, yeah, you don't want girls that stink like sweat, right?
And then Eyes was like,
in the back, I was like you could see her in the back. That was pretty funny. That was kind of funny because, like, yes, she's actually showing some
like moments like that are funny, but then when it just not even full send, because it's half sending it, it's just covered up, boobs and butts, and it's just like we're in the penultimate episode, and we spend a solid 2-3 minutes just like going shot after shot of just girls in the bath.
Claire does bring up a good point. You didn't come to pick up girls in a dungeon. That's true. That's the name of the show. They are literally girls in a dungeon. You're right. My bad. We should have known. We should have when we saw them naked in the dungeon in floor 18. There they are, the girls in the dungeon. Belle runs off, and first, okay, something big here, which had your eyes like, what's going on? They're spying on the chicks. Oh no, they're spying on the girls. And then Hermes says, talking to Belle, hey bro, spying on chicks is how a man expresses his feelings. And it kind of reminded Belle about his grandpa. And I'm like, hold on. And that made me first think that this is like some reincarnation of his grandpa or something.
Yes, 100%. Because like their words are just echoing each other. They start talking over each other. So it feels like, are you Belle's grandpa? Or like, some sort of reincarnated form of it. And then we find out later, and then it's just like, oh,
yes.
Okay.
So this part is when I thought, first off, Hermes was like, Hermes sucks. But then I was like, oh, is this his grandpa? Because like, we knew his grandpa kind of sucked, because his grandpa would be like, yo, kiss that girl that's sleeping, bro. So I'm like, oh, is this his grandpa? That's crazy. Claire says, I was expecting 5,000% more fan service. Honestly, I feel like it's entirely failed. Its title entirely failed to interest me otherwise. That's what I'm saying. If they would have
5,000 more fan service, exactly. So if it was there, it would have been. It's like, okay, that's what we're getting, so that's what we have. But when it intrigues you with all these other plot beats, at least on its face, and then it just brings it right back around to boobs and butts, and then I'm just like, okay, we had boobs and butts earlier. We got that out of the way. We're taking these characters seriously now. Can we for a moment? My bad, we can't.
I wonder, I do want to look up the manga to see if it is actually just ecchi or not. I don't know anything about the series.
I think it's a light novel by description, but that's a wide spectrum.
But yes, I definitely agree, Claire. If they're gonna do it, if there's gonna be the show, just do it. Never mind. Belle runs off and finds Ryu bathing, and we get like the backstory of her, and which is really cool, which I didn't think, because like she was kind of there sometimes, and I'm like, are you a main character or not? Because like she kind of was poking out sometimes, and I was like, I don't know. And then she comes in with this new cool look.
She had too many like moments where it was like, she definitely used to be an adventurer. Something happened, and that's why she's not doing it anymore. And I was being led on by that thread to keep me interested in her for sure. But the second she started gathering flowers, when her and Belle were just talking, I kind of called it. I was like, oh, she's about to visit somebody dead. I didn't think it was going to be her ex familia specifically, but I was like, she's about to go visit like a grave. Why else is she just picking flowers? And then sure as shit, that's where they head off to, and she starts talking about her backstory, and it's it's a really good character moment,
Yeah.
especially when Belle is able to throw her own words right back in her face. Like it's a really, there are nuggets of like good writing where I'm just like, yes, like I really am into this. And then it just comes back around to just, oh, Belle, you're back, Hestia, grabbing him and boobs and face. Belle getting red because, oh, there's two girls holding my arms.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And that's
Not this again. Definitely not used to this.
I don't know if it makes me mad or like disappointed, because yes, I did love Ryu's whole thing, and now we get like some solid character work for her, and I'm like, okay, I'm down for her to be a badass, maybe some sort of redemption style, like she was this person in the past, she can't be that anymore, but now she's here and she wants to help save Belle and maybe be a part of the group. I don't know. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm down because Belle does like her, uh, possibly as an adventure buddy as well. But somebody that doesn't like Belle, Mord. So we have Mord introduction here down in floor 18. His whole Mord group is jealous.
Mord.
And someone invisible steals Hestia, and Mord was the one that stole him. You said in your recap that Hermes was the one to give Hades' hand to him.
It's implied.
It is implied. So I didn't know if he said it directly, because he was like, "Oh, I know what that is, Hades' hand."
Because like it immediately shows him being the one to identify it. He starts talking about like, oh, I needed to have him see the bad side of man. He hasn't had to deal with this yet, and if he can't deal with it, then he's not the chosen one, obviously.
You're not the one.
Yeah. And then and they never show the person who entered the tent to talk to Mord. So like that's just having to put two and two together.
Hello, Bubsy, and hello, everybody watching on YouTube or Twitch. By the end of this episode, we're going to be picking a brand new anime to talk about. If you want to add an anime to the chest, $5 super chat, 500 bits on Twitch if you'd like. We have a ton of anime here to pick from. Your one could be next. I also think we need to add one for Bubsy. Bubsy hasn't given us one, I don't think. I don't know. Let's continue. So, Hades' hand, using it to fight Belle, or no, to steal Hestia. And Lily changed into a bunny, I think is what I interpreted it as, to rescue Hestia. And she kind of explains it. Like I'm cool with like all these like abilities, especially in the last episode. They don't really explain a whole lot. They just go full action. And I'm like, okay, Lily having the ability to change into a bunny, I'm cool with that, because she's like not a lycanthrope, Chianthrope or whatever she was. I don't know.
Chianthrope, correct.
Is it wrong to pick up anime in a YouTube Twitch stream? A brand new anime, 100% new. And then Bubsy said, "Wait, we did Delicious in Dungeon, right?" Oh, we said that in a voice chat, didn't we? Matt, do you remember? Okay, did you add it? Because I forgot.
I can add it.
Okay. Matt's going to add Delicious in Dungeon, and I'll talk a little bit. Belle can sense Mord here in this fight, in this struggle. And Hestia goes Super Saiyan here in this moment. I was like flabbergasted a little bit, because in the past, they've said that gods can't use their full might or use all their abilities that they are given. And then she comes out because she is pissed about Belle, someone hurting him, someone stealing her, and she uses her godly wrath. So it is our first introduction, I think, to gods still being able to use some kind of ability. And I kind of, why she didn't use it in the past, I guess she never really had a need to. But
Correct.
like, that's cool. Okay, so now we don't just have the adventurers. The gods have some sort of power that they can
Mhm.
use, and she didn't really show her power either.
Yeah, she just kind of like it was just kind of like a presence. I
It
feel
the
like because
aura, Hestia's
nobody
aura.
max aura points. Her like I feel like everybody's reaction was kind of like, scared, but it's like why are we scared? Is Can she take it further than that, or is that kind of like, the peak of just kind of like, showcasing her presence?
Mhm.
So it kind of left us with, just with that, and then moving into her. Claire's right, actually.
Her power, I'm guessing
Boobs.
boobs. Boob aura,
But moving into the
Bora.
next episode when she seems to really not be able to do anything given the larger scale problem that appears, it's just a little confusing, and I don't know. It's like again, there's more seasons than this, and this is the first one I feel like we've watched in a while that has more seasons than just the initial episodes
Sure.
that we talk about. So it everything seems to be setting up for, the future, and that's great, but like does that mean it's giving it a satisfying conclusion for this season? No.
Lunar eclipsing boobs. Yep. Total eclipse of the
Of the
boobs.
heart.
Let's go. Final episode of season 1. Did you add in
Yeah.
his anime? Episode 13, Familia Myth / A Tale of Family. What happens in episode 13?
So the dungeon floor closes itself off and drops in an area boss. The entire town, Belle and company are thrown into a cooperative effort where they attempt to take down the Titan. It is only through the eventual efforts of Belle and his heroic shot in combination with a gifted weapon that he is able to expose the soul crystal of the boss and drive his dagger into it, causing the enemy to be felled. Hermes is left befuddled as he announced that Zeus was incorrect and that his grandson does indeed have potential.
Who? Zeus
And
himself?
the is it wrong to pick up the girls in the dungeon truly was the friends we made along the way.
I just thought about this while you were talking a bit. This sort of show plays out like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, kind of, for some moments, because it's like, here we go, and here's like some downtime stuff, and then the sky started rumbling, and here we go. We have a huge ass Titan, and it's like sort of, I mean, and as a good dungeon master, if you've done it, you want to keep the people engaged in their thing. So when you see them sort of waning a little bit, you're like, oh, let's throw some action in here. That's kind of how I'm watching the show, where I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know about this. And I'm just like, okay, what are we doing here? Oh, here we go. Okay, dope. And then here's this epic scene or whatever. It keeps like,
Literally, are things getting boring? Add an explosion.
yeah, and I love the action stuff. I don't want to take it away, and I do want to talk about episode 13, but it feels like it's just kind of bringing me along here a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Is it wrong to have a power fantasy protagonist who power fantasies through all challenges? Maybe no, but it sure isn't very interesting. So it looked cool. It looked cool. Hermes said Hermes be talking about some stuff, and I don't know what he be talking about sometimes, because in this episode, Hermes is like, what about your prayers, Uranus? This was never supposed to be a part of your agreement. And I'm like, who's he talking to? Who?
Mod check big time.
Is that a god? I'm like, that's a planet? I don't know.
Planet.
The floor boss comes. Every exit has been sealed off. Everyone has to come together to defeat the boss. And from some passing talk, we know that the boss is probably about level 5. And Rio and Asfi are telepathically talking? Question mark. How did you interpret that? Because I think that was one of the more interesting things that got developed here, where they're just be talking
Yeah.
telepathically.
I
That's cool.
It's cool. I mean, like, uh, it's hard for me to say, given the power system in the show involved, and this episode takes a lot of liberties with, like, you just have to go with it to
Yeah.
just like, and at a certain point, yeah, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop pausing and, hitting go back 30 seconds to check for if I understood that, and I'm just gonna let it play out. And in that moment, I'm just thinking, like, it could be a few different things. It could be like they're just two skilled people that, like, throwing themselves past each other in coordination, in that coordinated effort. Like, they can, like, body language exactly what the plan is to each other. So one of them has a telepathic link that can secure and share that information. But then I'm thinking, like, if they're telepathically linked, why do they have to be so close to each other? Are they just so quick that they're able to talk this out really quick in that one moment, and the show's just not going to really animate it, and it's this visual art style that's just kind of giving it an interesting flair, so on and so on and so on. So really, it could be fucking anything. It could be
Yeah,
anything.
I did like it.
It's
I'm not
cool,
saying I
it's
didn't like it.
stylistic, but
It
yeah,
was
the show just keeps doing things this episode, and you just kind of have to go with it. And that's like, with the penultimate episode taking so much time on other things, and then this episode just wanted to be nothing but action in this boss fight, it really feels like they left a lot off the table with setting it up to be a compelling conclusion, even if it's a bombastic and explosive conclusion. But I don't feel like it's compelling. I mean, the boss itself, we've seen the enemy designs in the show. We've had minotaurs, they've fought in golems, hellhounds, all these cool things. Who's the final boss for season 1? Oh, it's just some big guy.
some big dude.
Okay.
Oh, he does that.
Boring, absolutely boring, uninspired. Absolutely, in my opinion.
In the chat, name a better looking final boss for season 1. I mean, I think it's gonna scale, obviously. So maybe they just want, but like, I do see what you mean, where comparatively to all the little cool, like the bunny rabbits with the fucking thing, like, that's cool. I like the little bunnies, the wolves, all that
Just
stuff. The minotaurs.
anything. Make it anything else other
But
than
it's a
just like a
titan.
humanoid. At least give me biblically accurate
Biblically.
angel. Biblically inaccurate angel at this point. Like, give him wings, give him something that he just looks like a big guy. And it's not
And
very scary, it's not imposing. It has no connection to our main character's larger, like, story that's been told so far. It just feels like he literally drops in out of nowhere, and guess what? That's what happened. He dropped in out of nowhere.
yeah, and the
Dungeon's fighting back. Why?
why doesn't like what our
this
doesn't
city's
like our
been here
choices.
for years, and all of a sudden it's this guy. I know it's probably Freya doing something and fucking with Belle, but, like, oh my god, it's so frustrating when you've told this 12 episode story. You want to make your first season 13 episodes. You're giving us a whole extra episode just for this conclusion, and it's just some big guy that regenerates.
He was a really big guy.
Everybody's doing all these cool moves, and it's just on some big guy, and he's just getting some cuts, and it's just growing back, and it's just like it's cool, it's explosive and all these other things, but it's not satisfying to watch.
Claire did say earlier, is there a sound buzzy or is it just me? I do. Somebody else did mention that on the last episode. We have switched to a new service. If you've seen, like, we're doing some more, like, cool stylistic visual stuff on the podcast now. So, like, I don't know what that buzzy sound is. So I would like it if anybody mentioned it when you hear it, because it doesn't show up on the recording for my other podcast stuff that I put it up on Spotify and stuff. So it is only in the live for some reason. But yes, sometimes it does that. I don't know how to fix it yet. I can do this. Double acid opie slime. They were doing some really cool stuff. I mean, you did say that, but I do want to take some time to be like, the telepathic talking, mages, the taking fire, icing his legs, projectiles, the whole going around his leg with Bell, like that's all so dope. Here we are in the final episode. Thank you so much. This is the stuff that I want. Um, man, but then the boss, like just a big fuck you. I can regenerate. That's cool. One thing that also didn't make sense to me, but again, this episode was all about show, don't tell really, and don't explain stuff. There were also a bunch of smaller monsters attacking. So, like, did the big guy bring all his buddies, like all his little buddies, because they were fighting the big guy and they're like, oh shit, oh my god. I'm like, the small ones are here too? I thought everybody chilled on this floor. What's happening? So Bell uses what I thought was his last chance ability, but I guess it was just a fireball. Or can he use it multiple times? Because I thought he threw it off once. But then Goliath's still up and regenerates. Oka goes down with Bell. And I did question because they mentioned it kind of in passing, and I kind of missed it, kind of not, where they said Ice was leaving first thing in the morning or something, or she was the first one out. So I was at this point, I was like, wait, where's Ice? I haven't seen her. And I was like, oh yeah,
Well,
they all
way
left,
back,
right?
yeah, way back. Right, it was right before Hestia got snapped. They were like, Bell was saying goodbye because they were getting to leave the advanced group, and so literally all the powerful people leave, and then Hestia gets kidnapped.
Gotcha. But they are still kind of powerful. Like there was so
Yeah,
many of them. There was, I mean, we did make it down to 18. So these people made it down to 18 on their own volition. So they
exactly.
are kind of powerful. I just don't. I mean, I guess a regenerating baddie is kind of a big deal, but like these guys can hold their own. And there was a lot of them. It was pretty cool to see, even though they just kind of were like, okay, we got to put them all together. Put away our differences. We're all gonna fight this one big thing. It was pretty cool to see all the mages like, and then all the projectiles and stuff. That was cool.
Like it's a
Uh,
lot of cool sequences. It's really cool, and it's like, but like I also will say it's at times not really the best animated in this final episode, even though there are cool conceptually cool moments
mhm.
happening. Then when it actually is like showcasing it happening, it
It
kind of leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Outside of the big moments with Belle, it was kind of like it felt like they're like, we just gotta keep showing more things, just keep animating more people. Oh my god, even if we're just like at one point somebody got thrown and it was literally just a PNG growing larger. So
oh
I
brother.
can't help but see some of the you know
I it would. I really miss the Mashal sort of action sequence, and I really wanted that in this episode. And I know I shouldn't compare stuff that we've seen, but like that could have just added so much more. Because yes, while at the end, whenever Bell is going for his hero shot, or he's gonna go and slice him down, and Hestia's like, that's not our Bell. He's something different. He's so much better. He can jump higher and all this stuff. But he's just running on the side of the wall, and I'm like, it could have been cooler, man. It could have been cooler. I don't know. She was like doing this epic like speech, like, yes, this is his transformation. This is his season. Season one's over. And he's just like, boom. And I'm like, he could just be like fucking flipping and do, but I guess season one, whatever, it has 5 seasons. I don't know.
yeah. It's just
Bell,
like when we had the fight with the Minotaur, his first fight with the Minotaur, I felt
mhm,
like it was just way better choreographed, and you had a better
yes,
sense of like the scale of the fight. And here, like I feel as though the production just way bit off more than it could chew with this episode 13,
sure.
and perhaps shouldn't have looked to end the season with this if they couldn't spend the time making it like again cool concepts, cool things happening in sequence, like nonstop action, but then it's just like the action doesn't have a lot of contextual weight, and then it's not animated as well as like we've seen other fight sequences be animated because they're trying to do nonstop action
Mhm.
and can really only focus on some moments of emphasis where everything else feels like it's getting kind of left in the dust.
Bell uses his hero shot again. He twists his knife into the gem, which is an amazing shot. And we get some information that what? Bell's grandfather is Zeus. He's the last of his familia. And then Hermes exclaims, Familia myth. And he says the thing finally.
Wow.
Then we
Zeus is
finish.
actually a pervert.
Oh my God. Who would have
Wow.
thought? Yeah, who would have thought with all his wives and spawn of gods and half gods. We got to go fast. We have 10 minutes. So we're going to rank it on our 3 criteria: animation, storytelling, and vibes. That's how we do every anime. And we put it on our board. So Matt, where would you rank this show on animation?
Animation, I kind of ripped into it, but for this last episode, but over the course of the entire series, it was well animated, it was consistent, and it did enough to keep my attention with the action sequences we did get in the past. So I'm giving it a B for animation because I thought it was pretty good, but it left a lot to be desired. Jules, where are you going to rate it for animation?
Claire says, breaking news, a Greek god, a pervert. A child. No.
No.
I give it a B as well on animation. It did look cool for some of the stuff. I do like the colors. I do like the way it looked. It just wasn't. It was just good. It was good. It's not a bad thing. Nothing really like super just blew me away in some of this stuff. A lot of it just looked like normal animation, and that's fine. It's a fine anime. Looked fine. Yeah, nothing really to say about the animation. It was cool. The last episode looked cool with all the colors and stuff. But yeah, like Matt was saying, it just kind of died away later. Storytelling. What would you rank storytelling for the show?
Storytelling, I'm giving it an A, kind of leaning down towards A minus. It was the story of Belle and Hestia. I enjoy seeing these two people that like had to rely on each other, pick themselves out of the dirt, and find the ways to kind of grow in this world that's very harsh and very brutal. I think it was able to do a few things like a little bit more a little unique compared to its contemporaries, and what's keeping it away from like an S in terms of its storytelling for me is a lackluster conclusion to this first season, where I feel like it was just throw the big bad, throw a big problem in their way, and it really, like, after Belle's defeat of the Minotaur, the weight of things kind of started to fall off for me. So I'm not sure if it's able to pull that back into the later seasons, but I really enjoyed seeing Belle progress as a character and start to become the hero that he's always wanted to be. Jules, where are you going to rate it for storytelling?
I was not as lenient as you. I gave it a C. I think the more anime we watch, the more we see animes fall into this where they just want to be a little bit of everything, and it just kind of gets cluttered, but also not really saying a whole lot, minus the whole just boobs everywhere and stuff. Like, yeah, that's so unnecessary. If it's just going to be a side plot, if that's kind of your thing, cool, whatever, that's fine. But if I want to see boobs, I want to see boobs in an anime and just do the whole thing. And if I want to like sit down and watch it for that, sure, make me an anime like that, I'm cool to do that, whatever. But like, I wasn't super about it. I think it kind of just went from the start. Like, I get that that's what the whole crux of the story. I just really didn't care for that, his like or love for this or lust for this person, and he wants he it feels weird because it's one thing that he said in the last episode, I think, whenever he was going to lay in his final blow, where he was like, I'm doing it to match her strength and be strong for her. And then I was like, that's kind of lame. I'm like, that's kind of. But then he said, I'm doing it for my friends and everything else. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit better, because that's how normal, main characters are. But I was like, it's kind of weird. I
Is
don't
that all you
know.
got?
I
Is
don't
that all you
know.
got?
It was just kind of, so it was fine with the show. I just don't really care where it was going. The characters were cool and they were fun, and I do like some of them, but like if
Mhm.
I never watch another episode, I'm okay with that. And I think that's where I was landing. I was like, I put it so low because like I could go, I don't care. Like at the end, I'm just like, I don't want to watch it anymore, and
I
that's fine.
definitely think like after talking about it, I was probably leaning more into the B range. Maybe even down to C because I can see where you're coming from for sure. Um, it, it it had a hard time finding its traction, but with the beats that like we did get, I was enjoying, and I think I'm
Yeah,
letting that kind of be too
and
much,
that's
give too much grace to my rating there for sure.
because like when I think back on the anime, I'm gonna be about those moments, like the Minotaur, about some of the more bombastic stuff in the last episode. But it's like I found the stuff that they were not telling me more interesting, and they just never got into the stuff I wanted to, I actually cared about, like the world and stuff. We don't know much about the world. We don't know much about the gods, and I'm sure it's going to continue and give us more stuff later on, but I don't want to do that. Claire said, would you give it another 13 episodes to see if it went anywhere though? No.
Nope,
So
and that goes with my next rating.
vibes, where would you put vibes?
I sent you a B on
You
over the
did.
message, but I definitely was not feeling a B. I was feeling a C on vibes with this one. The C on vibes comes from I like again the characters. I like their character moments because they have promise and they show potential for the future. But honestly, there is just to long story short, the show gets way too sus for my liking, and it when it does happen it wasn't overstaying its welcome initially, but like we're in the penultimate episode and we have a peeping Tom moment, and I'm just like, yeah, that just kind of killed the vibe for
The
me.
bath
That big time
scenes.
build killed the vibe. That and again, our grandfather, oh, you should totally kiss this girl that's asleep. That's how you be a man in the dungeon.
Yeah, and
and
girls like it when you peep on them, and that's how you get her
so
attention.
I'm at a C with this one on vibes, and that's again
And
I might even being generous with that.
and we might get like killed in the comments, but like they do it just so much. Like maybe you kind of overlook it or something. If you really like this anime, I don't hold it against you. That's
No,
cool. I really want to like every anime that we watch, but like they do it just so much that I just also rated this for vibes as a B, because it is just every other scene he's falling into boobs, he's shy about something, he's somebody else is kind of pressuring him a little bit or something, or being enamored with him, and I'm just like, I don't know. Wick even says it's too much. Yeah, it is just a lot. And like I want to focus on those cool things, like you were saying, where when you think back, you're like, oh, the action stuff when they go down,
and again,
when Lily kind of turns
yeah,
on him a little bit. That's cool
the
scene.
whole
Like
the whole arc with Lily becoming his actual companion, like that was all really good stuff.
Lily's backstory with a really cool character, Ryu with a backstory that's really cool and fleshed out. And
The
I'm
whole
like,
Crozo, family, and the fact that he's like this last magic smith man, but he refuses to make magic weapons. You have cool characters with these cool twists on them and like neat traits and personalities, but that's not what
that's
becomes emphasized.
that's why it does feel more and more to me like
D
a
and D.
D&D
Yep.
campaign, because it's like I have a character that's really good at magic, but his backstory is that his family and all this stuff, and it's like, or making magic weapons, and it's like, and then Ryu with her storyline and all that stuff, like, oh, she's a really a tough adventurer, a past adventurer that now works at the bar. And I'm like, this is just Dungeons and Dragons. Somebody made a Dungeons and Dragons thing and then made it into an anime or manga. And I was like,
But then
this
they
is
but it needs boobs.
yeah, so plus all the boobs and stuff. So yeah, so Beyond Vibes there. The final ranking for the anime is, where did I put it? Did I not put it here? Hold on. Pause for effect. Where did
Everybody freeze. Nobody move.
nobody move? I am uploading really quick. The final ranking for the anime is B. This anime is a certified B classic here. Got the vine, boo. So where does it rank up and where does it stack up against all the other anime that we watched this season? There it is on B. We got Hestia hanging out over there on the B side. We got a lot of S's, got a lot of A's, and we're filling it out a little bit there. So B anime,
Yeah.
it was good. Final thoughts, I guess it's okay. I don't know if I wouldn't watch it anymore.
Final thoughts, yeah. If you're not into a self-insert, you're just it's gonna be missing, it's gonna have potential, but it's gonna be missing something unless that's just your thing. So
Claire says
good,
E
not
wouldn't
great.
watch anymore. Don't feel like it was a total waste of my time. Oh, there's no way to see bits on the new streaming thing, but I do see it on my other chat. Wink, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Before Matt picks out a new anime, do you want to add? You have 2 picks. Shangri-La Frontier. I've passed that manga on Crunchyroll store so many times. I'm like, do I do it? It looks beautiful. Shangri-La Frontier. Add that in there, Matt, real quick before you pick. Thank you so much for the 1,000 bits. That will go both to me and Matt. To refresh everybody, here are the other animes that are in the chest. Buzzing is back. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that. It doesn't show up on the back end when I download the video.
I'm doing muting my mic or something.
Maybe it's Jules' mics for sure.
Oh
fuck. Well, thank you for 1,000 bits. I'm gonna put it towards another mic, I guess. Did you add Shangri-La?
I did, and then I picked.
Okay.
Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bongo Stray Dogs. I don't hear a man's talking. Bungo Stray Dogs. That's something that I've been interested in.
A while.
There's so much manga about it. Who put that one in there?
I don't have that written down.
And I think it's a long anime too. So we're not going to finish it. But Bungo Stray Dogs, watch the first 4 episodes. Should be on Crunchyroll. Most likely on Crunchyroll, probably on Netflix. But Bungo Stray Dogs, episode 1 through 4. I'm excited. Do you know anything about this show?
I know nothing about this one. And it looks like season 1 has 11 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And it's on... What are we watching this on? Yep, on Crunchyroll. Good to go.
So the way this show works is we all watch shows together, whether you've seen it, whether you're not, and maybe you find your next favorite anime, or maybe you find Danmachi. Matt, when you're not watching anime on the internet, where can they find you?
You can find me on my socials, on my YouTube at Matt_Galley, on my Instagram, and then I've also been trying to work into Threads at it's Matt_Galley, add an ITS at the front. Jules, when we're not here talking about the best animes ever, where can the people find you?
We should add like a little Threads, because I started posting on Threads as well, because Twitter sucks. At JulesTheHuman, at JulesTheHuman on all social media. I've been posting on Instagram stories and stuff, and mainly what I've been watching is Star Trek. I'm watching Star Trek Enterprise. We're starting from Timeline, starting at the very beginning. We already finished 3 seasons in like a week. It's so good, bro. But you can find this podcast on my YouTube channel, or we have our own Anime Hour YouTube channel as well. It's in the description down there, Anime Hour Pod, and that's where we upload the videos later on. You can also find this podcast on Spotify if you want to listen to us on the way to work or at the gym or something. And on the Anime Hour Pod YouTube channel is be the first place that we put up shorts. We've been posting shorts of the episode or of the episodes and some other stuff we make between the episodes talking about anime and stuff. So if you're a fan of anime, go to the Anime Hour Pod and subscribe. We only have like a little bit of subscribers over there. Subscribe. It'll be pretty cool. So that's the end. Watch Bungo Stray Dogs 1 through 4 by next week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.